Well, I'm glad it wasn't just me that had a bad week in round 13, but onwards and upwards to round 14. Now, if you do enjoy our tipping series, then please hit that like button and subscribe because there are a few more weeks left to go. So for the rundown of last week's results, it did not start well. My Sydney Swans, I predicted them to win by 20. Unfortunately, they lost by 14. It was a disaster, another disaster in the Swans season. It's so disappointing. We were actually doing pretty well for most of the game and just gave up. It's so frustrating. But it was the first quarter, no goals scored for Swans. Luckily, St Kilda were pretty awful as well. It wasn't a great game. And well, both teams, if you could, both teams would have got 0 points because both teams were pretty poor in my opinion. So nothing for the first game. Then we had Western Bulldogs versus Port. I predicted Port to win. I predicted them. They're on fantastic form. Still sat in second, but joint. But you could say they're joint top, other than the goals gone in and out. So Port by 20. They actually won by 22. I'm surprised only 18% of people went for Western Bulldogs because they've picked up a little bit of form, but Port are just sensational at the moment. So I get the point for this result and a point for a close score. I'm happy with that one. Then on Saturday, we had Hawthorn versus Brisbane. This is when the disaster continued. Only 5% of people went for the Hawks to win because they have been awful. Hawthorn have been awful. Brisbane mostly been really good. They're in fourth still, so this result probably won't make much of a difference to them. But 95% went for Brisbane. I did Brisbane by 40 and they lost by 25. So a lot of people got that wrong. The only positive is a lot of people got it wrong and therefore it won't affect too much of the league positions. But disaster there for Brisbane. Well, is it a disaster? No, it's probably not a disaster for Brisbane actually. I don't think it matters too much to be honest because they're going to be in the top 8. It just makes the difference for that top 4 for them, doesn't it? Then we had the Crows versus West Coast Eagles. The amazing thing, there are people in there that actually did a huge score shots. 2%. Who the hell were the 2% that went for West Coast? I don't know. But 98, 174 to 52. Easy. I think that might be the highest scoreline so far this season, and it goes to the Crows. Incredible. And look, no one, well, 2% of people were, so 2 people, or even just 1 person, I don't know. But no one really was expecting West Coast to win. But for Crows, fair play. For them to win by that much, that's what it takes to do well. To really, really pile the pressure on, to really tighten the screws and punish these teams. So really, really good. I got the result nowhere near the correct score. I did by 50. I thought that was a good prediction. Anyway, next up, let down by Fremantle. Do you know what? I'm backing them all at the start of the season and they let me down. Then they had a really good patch and then let me down again and let down 91% of the people as well. They lost by 15. I did Fremantle to win by 20, but that was a good result by Richmond, and that takes Richmond ahead of Sydney Swans as well. So fair play to them. I don't know how, because Richmond have been piss poor, basically. Sorry if you're a Richmond fan, but it's the truth. So nothing for me there, and nothing for a lot of other people as well. Now, this is one I'm a little bit upset about, and this is where I could have definitely picked up some points because I just had a gut feeling that North would do well. And I have been saying they haven't been good enough. And people in the comments have been saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, what? What's the point of playing if you're not going to try and win? The wins make, what matters. It doesn't matter how hard you try. If you don't win, then that's not good enough. And once again, North didn't get an awful shot, awful points on the board, but they didn't win. and they lost to GWS, who aren't exactly very good themselves. Really disappointing. I was hoping that would be a good surprise one for me. 16% went for North. Hopefully those other people didn't pick them because they saw me picking them. But I really did fancy North, especially against GWS, so that's really, really disappointing, but nothing for me there. Then we had Carlton versus Essendon. Now this was quite simple. I'm a little bit gutted here because it was quite simple. I thought Essendon were going to win this easy. Carlton are on really poor form now. My comments, I won't mention it again about how bad they are, but I was confident Essendon were going to win, and I'm gutted. I did them to win by 20. They won by 34, so that is where I could have got some extra points. But a lot of people went for a lower margin, so fair enough. I get the point for the result. Nothing for the scoreline. Then, last game of the week was the D's versus the Pies. And I had a gut feeling. This is where I picked up some points. I did Melbourne to win by 6. They won by 4. Only 19% of people went for the D's, which I'm really, really surprised about. Because, look, I know the Pies have been insane. You cannot take that away from Collingwood. They've been really, really good and ruthless. But the D's are always up there. They're in third place. They were in possibly in third or joint fourth, whatever it was last time. But you know, I'm amazed that only 19% of people went for the D's. But that works for me because less people are picking up points, and I did. It's annoying because loads of people who voted for Pies got the extra points, as you can see, because there's that margin. So that's a little bit annoying. But score and result, boom. Looking at the table, I don't think there's a lot of movement at all because I think a lot of teams did very, very similar. But there is a tiny, tiny little bit of movement in the top because, oh my God, Aussie TV gets the wooden spoon. Only one correct result. I had a look already. One correct result. Aussie TV. I can only find it funny. You've been so good. So good. And this week, you were so bad. Sorry. But there's a little bit of movement. Jackson obviously goes up 1. Bulldogs rule go up 3. Very see. Look at this. One position. 3, 3, 2. 5 from Newtown Falconers. 4 from Iggsy and Aussie Austrian. 9 from Ashley Smith, 11 down for Giroud. Very little movement though, not a lot at all. Now I get up 3 places to 32. I'm still some way off, but there's margin to go up still. Let's see who gets the golden hat. Fred. Well done, Fred. Fred gets the golden hat, but he only moves up 2 places and he is in 73rd. On to round 14 with the picks. You've got at the Adelaide Oval, Port versus Geelong. Just Port are so good at the moment. It's incredible. I cannot pick against Port at all. They are playing sensational. They are at home. Geelong are a weird one though, because as I said, they went 3 losses, 3 wins, 3 losses. They'll probably go for 3 wins now though. But I have to go with Port. They're at home. They're on incredible form. I could possibly fancy them to take the top spot. I'm not going to do them by loads though. I'm going to do them by 12. Not loads, because I don't think, it's a tough one. No, I'll do Port by 12. Could be completely wrong. It does mean, hopefully, that if Geelong sneak a win, I still may get a half a point for the correct or close score. Then Brisbane versus Sydney. Brisbane 2 losses in a row, but they are at the Gabba. Sydney, who knows? This is the dilemma. Do I go for Sydney because they're my team, even though they keep letting me down? The only thing is, if I go for Sydney, I bet hardly anyone will go for Sydney. And if Sydney do win, it'll help me go up the table. And they're my team. Everyone will be like, behind the screen, don't Pick Sydney, but they are my team. They are my team, that's all I can say. Sydney by 6. Oh my God. It's just painful because I just know they're going to lose, but they might win. And don't put a bet on Sydney. That's all I'm going to say. On Saturday, the first game, GWS versus Fremantle. Both teams, weird. GWS win when they want. That's basically what it is. And then the rest of the time, they can't be bothered. They are at the Giants Stadium. Fremantle, a long way from home. I just don't know. This week is a weird one. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go Fremantle because GWS normally are pretty rubbish. Fremantle, they did find some good form. And maybe we'll just take last week as a strange loss. Fremantle by 10. It's low, but yeah, we'll do them by 10. Then MCG action, Richmond versus St Kilda. What the hell? How have Richmond just got 2 wins in a row? It makes no sense because they've been pretty awful as well. St Kilda, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So by that logic, they should lose. So, if we're going along the line, yeah, but then Richmond have won 2, lost 2, won 2. I'm going Richmond. I'm going Richmond by 6. Low scoring. This could be an absolute disaster. That's all I'm going to say. It could be an absolute disaster. Then Sunday. This is another one. Carlton versus Gold Coast. How are Gold Coast doing what they're doing? I just don't get it. There's no logic behind this. It's at MCG. Carlton are rubbish though. But they'll probably win now. I don't know. I just don't know. This is a really difficult week. I know I say each week this is really difficult, but after some of these weird results that we've been getting in the last couple of weeks, it really does throw predictions just out of the water, doesn't it? And it's just a guess. That's all it is now. It's just a guess. What do I do? What do I do? Oh, I really don't have a clue. See, Carlton are at home. Sort of. What's home these days? That's the question. What's home these days? Do I go on form? I'm gonna do Carlton by 1. They're gonna win it by 1. I could be completely wrong, and it's gonna mess me up. But I'm gonna do Carlton by 1. Surely not many people are gonna pick Carlton in this one. Then last game, North versus Bulldogs. Bulldogs have now lost 3 in a row. What is going on? North just can't buy a win at the moment. So I can't go for North because they're just pants. But Bulldogs are up and down. But I'll go with Bulldogs by 20. That seems to be quite often a margin that the North lose by because they do score a lot. They just let in more. Well, there's the picks. A really tough week, really difficult. I've gone quite low scoring. There's only 6 games as well this week. Really, really quiet week. I've gone for Port by 12, Sydney by 6, Dockers by 10, Richmond by 6, Carlton by 1, and the Bulldogs by 20. I have no idea how it's going to go this week. Say that, I was quite confident in previous weeks, and it all went Pete Tong. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And if you've been enjoying this series, as I said, please like and subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you next time.